Governorship election coming up in November has continued to generate political tension in the state. The APC governorship primary election that held in April 2024 made the incumbent Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa the party flag bearer, while in the People's Democratic Party, Agboola Ajayi emerged winner. Recall that Mr. Ajayi served as deputy to Governor Akeredolu from 2016 to 2020, but did not return with the governor for a second term due to a move to get him impeached few months into the Ondo 2020 governorship race, resulting to late Governor Akeredolu replacing him with Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Fighting many odds, Governor Ayedatiwa is still set to encounter more plots against him along the election race, as the duo would be coming from the same background with similar experience into the November gubernatorial race. Well, these and more issues are what we will be discussing. But joining us in the studio is legal advisor Ondo Redemption Front, Adedotun Ajulo. And we also have in the studio columnist, TV host rather, Sam Omashe. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you join us. Now, let me begin with, recent happenings. The dust obviously has not settled with regards to the governorship primaries that happened in Ondo State, especially with the APC. Now, there are reports making the rounds that there was a document or report that came out of from INEC saying that the governorship primary did not hold because of there were no materials, delivered to the various local government areas, and that Ifedore, the issues in Ifedore and Ilaje, and we also saw the APC responding to that they were shocked to even, get this kind of response or from the INEC as it is. Let's get your perspective of this issue.
Okay. As usual, primary elections, direct or indirect, as far as from 1999 till now, has always come with its controversies. Either direct or what they call indirect primaries. And within Ondo State, of course, cannot be an exception. We've seen reports, but the so-called report is not, there is no official report from INEC as regard the primary election that held on April 20th, 2024 in Ondo State. We've even seen report that about 143, that there were no election in about 143 wards of just about 203 wards, that there are total wards in Ondo State, that there are no elections in about 143. But of course, there is no official, what is it called, from INEC up to date as regard that.
So why did the party respond?
Well, it's the choice of the party, and I think the party, why not talking on behalf of the party? And I think the party had to respond because basically one or two aspirants, particularly Senator Jimo Ibrahim, has been everywhere. I read in the news that he has even gone to court, approached the court, and is seeking from the court that his party should be delisted from the, according to him, that his party should be delisted from the ballots come November in the election, and that the so-called primary election should be cancelled. So I think these issues generally, we of course make the party to respond. But coming from INEC officially, there is basically no report officially from INEC. And as a lawyer, I wish to say that, well, as much as I know, just that the law is not static. This is a party affairs. Issue of primaries election is basically a party affairs that I don't even think there's an extent. INEC will only be there for a more of a supervisory role, and so I don't know where all of this is coming from.
Let's perhaps get your perspective or perception of what is going on with regards to these statements, although in that response from the party, they are saying that some persons within the party perhaps are the ones pushing this narrative of saying that there was no election and all of it, that the process did not hold as it should have. And so I am wondering who these persons are. Yes, he mentioned some names, but let's get your perception of what is going on.
Well, it's very interesting that the Ondo primaries have come to this turn, because at the beginning it was an issue of the illegitimacy of the deputy governor. It was the issue of the malady of the sitting governor. Then it became the issue of the malady of the APC itself, because inability to get his house together. Yeah. Then it was the issue of betrayal of the incumbent deputy governor became governor. Then it created fissures and scission in the party. Now, what is going on here is probably a continuation of the crisis of the APC. The APC seems to be the strong party. It seems to be the beginning and end of passions and compassion in the state. So what you are seeing here is that the one that seems to have the big prize, for you to get it, everybody has to fight in order to get the big prize. So when this issue of the primaries came, some people said, maybe we should not do direct primaries. You just do indirect primaries, just like they did in PDP. It was easy for them. They went into one hall and they just picked somebody, including, and then they beat two people. I know they were my classmates and fellow student union activists in Ife, Mafola John and Shola Bisheni and so on. And then, when everybody thought that Ayedatiwa had won and everything was going on cruise control, then we had these stories about, this thing did not happen. The election was rigged. Yeah. There were no electoral materials. In fact, in the Okitipupa area, they had to do the election on Sunday.
Yes.
You know, even though Brian was also reported to have lost even in Okitipupa, where it comes from. Well, this report about election not taking place or taking place is actually a moot point, because the role of INEC in primaries is like that of a fly on the wall.
Right.
A fly on the wall does not even buzz. It's almost non-existent. So for everybody to come out and say that the thing did not take place or take place, it's a moot point. The party decides what it wants to do. It is a party decision. It is not an INEC decision. INEC is supposed to be there. I don't know why INEC is supposed to be there when it will have no role to
monitor whatever is
when
going
you monitor, what do you do with monitoring?
Of course.
To do what?
You monitor
I don't know.
Keep your data.
To keep your data to do what now?
For the election.
To what, when the election
comes,
of
the day.
You will say what?
What it got out of
Because I spoke with some officials of APC yesterday.
Right.
And I asked them, what's going on with these court cases? They said they've not even seen any up to the time I spoke to them.
Spoke to them.
They said we've not even seen any papers from Jimo Ibrahim.
It's only
they say it's only on the pages of the newspapers that they are seeing this. I don't know why that provision is in any law. Why do you come to my house? You come to my house so that you can see whether I ate ogbono this morning or I slept at 6 a.m. or not. Is that why you came? What is the point? If INEC goes there, it's a waste of resources, because whatever INEC comes with has nothing to do with whether the candidate gets it or not. The law just says INEC should be there.
To monitor.
But it's all information. What do you do with information? Material information is only useful when it can advance the quality of life. It does not even advance the quality of election. Rather, it is creating a problem now, because some people say they have the report. INEC has no obligation to issue any reports about what the election went, the primary election went. It has no obligation to do that.
Simply
yeah, so nobody even knows if the report is true or not.
Right.
Because Everybody saying we saw the report, we saw it, and so on. Who was there to even record how many INEC officials were there? Eh? Who will report? INEC will report that we were there. Who will report that we were witnesses to seeing INEC at the world? So there's just constitutional complication. Essentially, even the people from the APC I spoke with yesterday, I don't want to mention their names. They told me yesterday that INEC has already uploaded their candidate. So Ayedatiwa, to all intents and purposes, for those who are crying about betrayal, for those who are crying about malady, for those who are crying about the melody of the election, because some people it's melody, to some people it's melody for some people.
Absolutely.
So other people who are rejoicing on the streets, and those who are crying as though they have hunchback, the whole problem is in the hands of the APC National Working Committee.
And they tried to resolve the issues, but then it seemed like it didn't achieve any result at the end of the day.
Well, the only thing I wish to say to APC is that they should watch their back. Though we've said it, we've analyzed it, that INEC doesn't have a role. Up to now, too, I still try to search over the night. Maybe I can lay my hand on
The report itself?
No, talking about even the court processes.
Yes. What
I was basically seeing is newspaper publication and the interview by the candidate concerned. But I would just want to remind the APC, because there was a line that I saw that got me so worried, whereby a candidate who participated in primary election is saying, I have approached the court that my party should be delisted from ballots. And I would just love to remind them of what happened to PDP, talking about Jegede and Akeredolu in, I think, 2016 or thereabouts, the first time of Akeredolu. Somebody played the role of a spoiler. And I can tell you, the ex-governor Mimiko, Jegede and all of that, that was one of the major setbacks for PDP. And I just hope that we may not be having something similar.
And there were alignments and realignments afterwards, after that incident.
Well, there was no, basically there was no...
Later on, there were alignments and realignments according to some reports. So there are those who are saying that perhaps that is what will happen this time around with this level of grievances that people are expressing.
I would just hope that the APC will put their house in order and watch out for tendencies or persons who might just be out there too. You see, there's one funny thing about law. The fact that we don't have a precedent. We don't have a precedent, a decision may just come that will shock everybody. So I will really urge that the National Working Committee, the leadership of the APC, is their party affair, that they should be on the issue in order to be able to put some of these things aside.
Interesting.
Well, if you follow the trajectory of what is going on with all those who fought against Ayedatiwa, you discover that most of them are already come on board with their candidate, except perhaps Timo Ibrahim, Shola Oke, and so on. But most of them are quiet. So let's see how it goes.
Because there are concerns that...
basically, the names you just mentioned, you know, when you
they are strong names.
They are strong men.
We had like 18 of them that contested primary in APC.
Yes.
But I can tell you today that the Olusola...
How strong are you when you cannot even win your local government?
Well, don't forget... no, we should not forget. You see, we should not forget the outcry. As an individual from Ondo State, that was around during the election.
Okay.
It wasn't perfect of it all, indeed.
Have you ever had one perfect election?
I said that at the beginning. You see, either direct or indirect primary.
None is perfect.
From 1990 date, I can tell you, it is never perfect. There's no way you want to go about it. If this are to be an indirect primary, you will have heard about somebody, the name they wrote from the party, from the National Working Committee of Delegates. When they got to the state, it was changed, it was hijacked. So basically...
How do you mean it was hijacked?
No, I'm talking about past experiences, what we have when we talk about the election by delegate, the primary elections by delegate.
Right.
I'm telling you the instances, the kind of issues that surrounds those kind of primaries election, talking about the indirect primary election. So basically, primary election has never been perfect as far as our democracy is concerned.
So what did you see that is making you raise this concern about telling the APC to put its house in order? Because you said you were there.
I was there because of the election. I was there because of the election. It wasn't perfect. Indeed, there are places election did not hold. We have videos of calling. We have videos of you see somebody calling figures. Somebody is jumping from 100 to 120 and all of that. But I can tell you from past experiences that has always been the case of direct primary. But like I said, it's a party affair.
Very important.
And, you know, the thing is that if you want to make it perfect, you can never get it. As they say the good is better than the perfect. Or as Sherry Sandberg said, it said done is better than perfect.
All right, let's put you on hold, gentlemen. We need to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. Before we went on the break, we were talking about the dust raised by the recently concluded APC primaries in Ondo State, where some contestants are still talking about the issues, matters of INEC report of whether there was a primaries that held or not, were also some of the issues raised and some other controversies. We still have our guests in the studio with us, legal advisor, Ondo Redemption Front, Adedotun Ajulo, as well as a columnist, TV host, Sam Omashe, talking with us about these issues. Now, before we went on the break, we're talking about the National Working Committee resolving all of the crisis within the party ahead of the November election, because we are seeing the PDP saying that the PDP will come in, you know, and take over Ondo as things are as it is right now. So, and like he admonished that there is the need for the APC to perhaps begin to look within and clean house as it is, looking at the election ahead of it.
It's an interesting and intriguing scenario moving forward. Many people in the APC don't think that there is a real crisis, except that they believe that there are one or two people, one of them who has a big barn and who thinks that he has a lot of yam to spare. And they say, okay, keep spending your yam. And by the time, in the day of harvest, we will tell you who has the bigger farm. And so that is what is going on. And they believe that what is happening is more of a distraction than a crisis. And so they are expecting that in the long run, everything will be happening. Although they say in the long run, everyone is dead. Well, in the long run, we'll see what happens. But what I see here is that once the NWC works and gets everybody in tow, they'll move on. One of them told me yesterday is that what we are waiting for is actually for the president to come so that we get our deputy governor and start and move on. Yes, we get the deputy governor candidate and then move on. So in other words, the APC have moved past the crisis. Even Shola Okeda we're talking about, it's not making any noise. The real noise is from Jimoh Ibrahim. And some people believe that Jimoh Ibrahim was not even central to not a darling of the NWC, of the party at the center, because of what they perceive to be his role during the elections at the Senate, was Senate president, and so on. So he has not been a darling of the party, so he cannot be a darling now when you want something. So that's what is going on.
Right, interesting. Let's also talk about, because there are those who are saying that, still reacting to the PDP saying that if the APC does not put its house in order, the PDP would be taking control of the state as it is. There are those who are saying that the president is using the current governor, Ayedatiwa, to, you know, take charge of the political structure of Ondo State.
Well, who is naturally entitled to take charge of political structure of the state, if not the governor? It doesn't behove some president to naturally you are endowed. As the president at the national level, the president is the leader of the party. At the state level, the governor is the leader of the party. You see, for Ondo State, the interesting thing about the two gladiators, the two, because basically PDP, the interesting thing about each of them is that they have the same antecedent. They were once deputy governors
to the late governor.
to the late Governor Akeredolu, and they both survived impeachment. So they both survived impeachment. But unfortunately, I was analyzing this with some group of friends. Unfortunately, or let me say, I'm hopeful that the PDP can get themselves together this time around.
The PDP?
Yes, can get themselves together this time around.
Myself?
For me, understanding the political climate of Ondo State, let me not sound pessimistic. I don't see the PDP. They had an election, I think in February. From Akoko, the Minister of Internal Affairs was a member of FEP before he was appointed. So the man that took over from him, the APC and PDP had the election and it was silly, like the outcome of the election. So I'm looking at it, and I'm hopeful that PDP can actually get themselves together and put up a good fight. In fact, practically in Ondo State, there is no opposition. You see, really? Practically in Ondo State, there is no opposition, and that's even what is more worrisome to me.
Really? Why do you say that?
I'm saying that because we have not been seeing anything happening. Well, in the course of the crisis in the state, when the absence of the late governor before he eventually died and all of that, that was an avenue that the opposition was supposed to be on the front lead of the agitation that come. You can't just keep governance on a standstill the way it is. But we never saw that happening. So in fact, what baffles me the most, what causes me worry as an indigenous of Ondo State, is for PDP to play the role of an opposition, so that we can have proper governance. I'm not here as an advocate of it. I want to see how they can put through in the course of the election.
I see the two candidates the way I look at Isaac and Jacob and Esau. Both the Agboola of PDP and Ayedatiwa are like two sons who came from the same womb. And then those two sons are now at loggerheads against each other. You know that when they were in the womb, the Bible says that you have two walls inside your womb. That's what I told Rebecca. Two walls inside. So there were two walls inside Akeredolu. He didn't know. One, and then they became wayfarers. Everybody traveled their own. One went this way, the other one went that way. Agboola left the party and they moved all the way to PDP, where he is now.
And for governorship.
And for governorship.
And for Senate.
Zenith, he ran under Zenith Labour Party and collapsed. So he went from Zenith and came down. So we moved to what they call it, the PDP. Well, Ayedatiwa was somewhere, even ran for office before he became deputy governor. When he became deputy governor, it became a problem for the man who put him there. After the man had celebrated him and said, "Oh, you are lucky. Ayedatiwa, means that everything, the world is ours." So it is it's
now your turn.
Yes, now your turn, and so on and so forth. And then it's just like the case of those two children. Well, Shakespeare in what's that play again? Forgetting the play where he said, "Good sons, good wombs sometimes bear bad sons." Well, I don't know whether these are bad sons, but these are two sons that are cut off from their father.
It's an interesting time, actually, and there are talks about, yes, the sentiments of the people towards this election coming November the 16th. Yes, a lot of persons have said that the governor has been able to garner the sympathy of the people as it is. And so talking about an opposition, there's really, really none like that for him. I don't know if that is why you are concerned that perhaps the PDP can put its act in order and stand as an opposition so there can be that democratic process that we have always looked forward to in our processes. But you being from Ondo State and you have seen the climate, how it is, and what the people really yearn for. What are those concerns or what are those things you see that will play a major role, you know, as deciders for the people? We know, yes, that there are those who have supported, you know, Ayedatiwa as it is, saying that, okay, whether he has 4-year tenure or 8 years, whatever, that is debatable as it is. We've had a conversation some time ago. But what are those issues you think that will really shape this coming election?
I will start very unconventional. I'll tell you that one that is going to shape whatever is going to happen in Ondo State is resources.
How so?
I will leave it at that. I don't want to expatiate.
No, you need to expatiate. For those who are watching, they need to understand what you mean.
When I say resources, money.
Yeah. Money.
Yes. We have not outgrown that stage in this country that when we want to run election. And it's one of those fears I have for PDP.
They don't have money? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is resources to go around and reach out to the people. Let's leave that. You have asked me about sentiment that is going to play out. Leaving issue of resources, the sentiment that is going to play out like...
So, you need to... You're saying that the politics that we play in this country is money politics.
Well, it is. It is. Except we want to run away from reality. It is.
Right.
So, for PDP, I begin to imagine how they are going to mash up with APC when it comes to money and resources.
Okay.
Yes. So, let's go to the issue of sentiment that you now ask. Now, off camera, we discussed it. You see, the sentiment that is going to determine the election is already there and obvious. Some, even though the political opponents of the governor, who is going to be the flag bearer in the election, the political opponents didn't know they were promoting the governor when they all went agog and abot, saying the governor is going to spend 4 years, and that got into people from other constituencies. Talking about the central,
yes,
talking about the north. They were like, okay, even though that's the issue of being there for just 4 years is not certain anywhere. It's just speculation here and there in view of constitutional amendment. But we don't have a precedent yet. It's something that might be subject to litigation in the nearest future. But I can tell you, it was a score point
for the governor.
For the governor, and it remained a score point ahead of the election.
So he got the support. It's not as if the people of the central really love him as it is.
Well,
they're giving him the support.
I wouldn't say maybe they love him or not. The man has
what central is, because not everybody is listening.
Talking about the senatorial
district.
Yeah. What is central?
Talking about the Akure, Ondo.
That is where you have the big meat. The big meat of the election.
Of the election. So Akure, Ondo. Talking about the north now, you are looking at Akoko, Owo, and all of that. So these people are very, very anxious that, okay, the man will spend only 4 years. Before you know, Central will have it. And this, of course, from Central, it goes back to the North.
And you think it can play out that way?
You
think you can't play out that way, that he has just 4 years as it is?
We don't know. We've never had it. This is going to be the first of its kind in the country. We've never had it. Even though there are constitutional amendments to that effect. That it only says you cannot be sworn in twice as a governor. But I can tell you that when the time comes, we are still going to approach the court to say, okay, I was a deputy governor.
I became a governor.
I became a governor.
I was sworn in.
Could that be literally interpreted as that, oh, I was sworn in twice as governor?
Then
was I not even sworn in as a deputy governor in the first instance?
No, but then if you win again after 4 years, it means that you'll be sworn in three times. But I can tell you, sir, this point that the opponent, particularly from
the central,
the south, where the governor comes from,
yes,
that was what they were selling all along. That
we were going to shortchange themselves.
We are going to shortchange ourselves. We are supposed to have our full 8 years after this. After
we had a similar situation in Bayelsa during the time of Timi Presiba.
Okay.
Yeah. When they said no, you cannot. They cannot swear you in as governor twice. Yes.
Twice.
Yes.
But there was no decision. There was no court. There was no interpretation of the court to that effect to date. So that was the score point for the governor, and I can tell you that is selling very, very fast with our people. Let me tell you, there's an attitude on the part of our people. Whoever is subsisting as a governor, the people tend to tilt towards him than anyone else. It's the general attitude of Nigeria.
It's a question.
Power of incumbency.
It is what Bessie Head, the author, called a question of power. Now, the issue is you raised is very important. The issue of money. They say money is the mother's milk of politics. As I always say, that there are 3 things that determine election: candidate, condition, and culture. You know,
Candidate, condition, and culture.
Candidate, condition, and culture.
3 C's.
Yes, the 3 C's. Remember, an election took place in one state when they were saying Edibo. Where was that? What state was that?
I refuse to answer
But the enlightenment of those who don't understand it means that vote so that you can cook your soup. It started in Ondo State. Are we going back to the kitchen?
That is not coming from me. And
are we going back to the kitchen?
He would want you to answer that question. Are we going back to the kitchen?
You have said
I want soup. I know you eat a lot of pounded yam. So what soup are you going to use to eat the pounded yam?
There is a soup they call marugo.
Marugo, I know it.
Marugo is not native to us. particularly where the governor
comes from.
You know, marugo and pupuru. So maybe you
don't know that one.
So you see, like Mr. Sam said, candidate,
culture,
and condition.
Yeah.
You can't take away this from our people. And at the risk of not sounding immodest, I realize that it doesn't seem to me that PDP are motivated enough to support their candidate any longer. From history, from culture, we know that when you have an election of this nature, governors come together from party, across party, and throw support.
Well, but the governors from PDP...
They were the ones saying...
Now,
they are saying... yes, they were the ones saying that they have the opportunity.
Well, we are... That's we are waiting. We are waiting. They had an election in Ondo State just February. I mentioned earlier on the election that has to do with Akoko North federal constituency. Akoko North and East federal constituency. And we saw what played out in the election.
We have seen it before.
Yes.
When another party was there and APC had, no APC, they had ACN, they had governor in, they had their own governor in Oyo. They had in Oshun, they had the late Ajimobi in Oyo. They had the Regbeshola in Oshun. And they were all saying, and they had them, this man in Ogun. The man with the big hat. Amosu. They all had them together and they all said they were going to overrun Ondo. But what happened?
You know, the interesting thing about Ondo is that Ondo State has its own peculiarity.
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
it has its own peculiarity politically. And it is at that point I appreciate the president, particularly in the last election. I can tell you that the man left all of them to defeat.
Yes.
And I believe that is coming from past experience.
Yes.
Right.
He left all of them to defeat. So that is why I said, you see, whoever wins primaries, it's a long-drawn battle that you may never win if you say you want to contend against a person. The moment you are announced as the winner of primary election, as far as Nigeria is concerned, that's it. So
that's the Aton Zeribe formula.
Formula.
Aton Zeribe. He said, don't allow them to defeat you and go to court.
That's all.
Say,
the moment,
either resolve it,
the moment,
either election, or yeah,
the moment someone is declared as the winner, forget it. In fact, if any of these persons going around has been declared as the winner of the election, there is nothing incumbency in Ayedatiwa that can overrun anybody who has been declared. So let's see how it plays out. Like I said, you see, law is not static. I really wish indeed that someone will approach the court so that maybe from there we can have a new decision that would redirect our precedent when it comes to issue of primaries.
Interesting.
Yes.
Sam, from your perspective, there are those who said there are still hurdles before Governor Aiyedatiwa, as it is, ahead of the election that he needs to address, and so that perhaps he can have a smooth ride to November the 16th. That's what they believe, that perhaps he still needs to reconcile with some other members of the party and all of those before.
The problem he has in the party are the Akeredolu holdouts. It is unfortunate, but they have become fringes of the party. They have become fringes of the party. It is what they call real politics. They call the politics of the real polity. That is what is going on. That politics is not about I am the holy man, I live in the holy of holies, I am the pure man. They did so many evil against me. I was supposed to be the candidate. He took me to his bedroom before he died and said, you are the anointed one. And this man is such a traitor. People don't have time for all those mushy sentimentality. Politics has taken over. It took over the structure of the party, and we saw it in the primaries. Whether he rigged it or he didn't rig it, where were you when he was rigging it?
any of the candidates will have rigged. Any of the candidates in court will have rigged.
This is politics. It's the way it is.
But
Mr.
Sam, I will really wish that the governor makes concerted effort to have people reconcile. You see, beyond winning election,
you need the love of the people.
We need the love. Yes, we might. You see the political gladiators.
If he wins the election, he already has the love he needs.
Yes,
not necessarily.
Beyond.
If you win the election, you have the love you need because you have the majority.
Looking
beyond winning an election is governance, and I don't know how safe it is to say this. The governor needs to do better.
In terms of governance?
No, not just governance. In terms of reconciling people to himself, bringing people on board.
That's what I mentioned.
That's why you have,
some person said that he has that hurdle.
That's why you have campaigns.
You see, campaign can just be for. He needs to do a whole lot.
What more do you think he needs to do? Because from what you're saying, it seems like he's not doing enough as it is to win the hearts of these people.
Well,
and why is it even necessary, like he's asking?
Well, he starts with his political appointments and ability to be able to tell most of these so-called aides. You know, the level of psychophancy around governance in this country is another major issue. After the election, I had to caution one or two persons who are, of course, loyalists of the governor. You don't go, you have won this election. You don't go on here to try to throw charade at people who lost and all of that.
Yeah.
So I would really wish that the governor, particularly for the sake of governance, to avoid distractions. You see, politicians are very terrible people. Looking at what the governor survived, the whole impeachment processes and the rest of it, he must know those to bring on board, to work with. And he must be very careful with psychopaths. Let me say this about Mr. Sam. I think Mr. Sam is very optimistic that the election seems to Mr. Sam to be won already by APC. Apologies, sir.
But you even hinted it. You even hinted it in your own statement.
No, I hope
you don't act like a politician. You are pushing it on me after you have said
it. So in that regard, I'm looking beyond the election. I'm looking at governance itself.
In the interest of the people.
In the interest of the people, then his ability, he must improve on his efforts at reconciling the people. Particularly his political. You see, like I said earlier on, this man is being seen like an outsider.
Why?
Some person sees and says, you see, there is this entitlement, this thing that comes with our politicians. In the first time in history, members of Ondo State House of Rep in the National Assembly came out to issue a press statement calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to call the governor to order as soon as the man was sworn in. I think it's only one or two of them that didn't
append their signature. Yeah.
Yes.
Power is like honey. All those people who have been saying, oh, we have Ayedatiwa, we have Akeredolu, we cannot stand this man. The Bible says that we see in part and we prophesy in part. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, but within 1 year of Ayedatiwa's government, you see some people say, well, for the interest of Ondo State, in order to move forward, we need to work with the government. What again? As they say in Yoruba, it is the honey that draws anything. Honey is not discriminating as to what it draws. Anything can come in and it will absorb it because it is sweet. Once you enter the honey, you become sweet even if you are bitter.
Interesting. I will take that as your final statement on this matter, but let's get your final word beyond he reconciling everyone.
Yeah, well, we wish, let me just say, I wish the gladiators, the contestants across parties, I wish them all the best. But more importantly, the peaceful coexistence of the citizens of the state should be of what is it called, paramount interest in the mind of all involved. And I wish Ondo State the best.
All right. That's a fine place to leave this conversation. We must thank you, gentlemen. Legal advisor, Ondo Redemption Front, Adedotun Ajulo, as well as columnist, TV host, Sam Omashe, for your time on the program. Thank you.